DFM data, official business, but Linda, they're lost. Sorry, but they're lost.
Yes, it's good to know who you are and have a passion for your contributions.
Yes, and I look forward.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Other things as well. So that's probably good news for us. Just saying.
Well, I'm hopeful that it's good news for us. I don't know how much Linda wants to go into future plans on this call for the us side.
Yeah, I'm currently reviewing documents that will put me in much closer communication with the customers of DFM and the future corporate members of DFM. So I'm very excited about that. It's facilitating adoption to a really great new marketplace. So
excellent. That is our game. We have you more.
I think it aligns with Linda's common mission more so than anything else that's out there at the moment. And Linda has a great relationship with Karen at Kilroy, and you know, the association side is really helpful as well from what is with Texas Blockchain Council. So I think it's a super fit, and really looking forward to. I dated our contract as 10/10/2020 just because I know Linda likes numerology like I do. So.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to signing it upon review. And I did get 4 job offers in the first 24 hours after my resignation, and I didn't even put it out there that I was no longer in that role. So it's been nice to see a positive feedback from the community and members of the chamber that I've participated with, and it's very nice to know that there's really strong common purpose and bonds that go beyond just a role at the chamber. So yeah, thank you all for being a part of that.
I am not surprised that you've received those offers. So guys, moving forward, October 9th, 2020, we have Linda Getz, John Greaves, Michael Darden, Jeff Hurley, and Denise McCurdy. With that, we have a quorum, so the meeting will proceed. I will remind everyone of the antitrust policy that neither DFM, Data Core, everyone is still there, yeah? Okay. Hereafter, refer to.
Did you hear me cough?
No, everything just went blank for a second, so I just want to make sure we don't want to miss.
Okay, I coughed really strongly, and I'm like, oh no.
That's a powerful cough there, Linda.
No,
I know. I was like, it can't be me.
Knocked out Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on 2 things, my phone and the Zoom function, so I wasn't sure where I was muted effectively, so I'll make sure both are muted.
No worries. Hereafter referred to as DFMDC, nor its committees and activities shall be used for the purpose of bringing about and or attempting to bring about any understanding or agreement, written or oral, formal or informal, express or implied, between and among competitors with regard to prices, terms, and or conditions of sale, credit terms, or marketing practices. And the next time I say that, I'm going to do it with an English accent. I'm going to practice. John will be impressed. Okay.
One should always speak English.
It would take a lot of practicing, John. All right, so we did the call to order, we did a roll call, and here is today's agenda. Give everyone just a couple of minutes to look at that, and then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as it is stated?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Seconded.
Always appreciate you getting that out early for everybody to be able to see beforehand too, so we get a good chance to review it. So thanks for that.
Well, you're welcome, but I can't actually take that thanks because I got it out to the internal team, but I did not send it to John and Linda, and I can certainly do that going forward. So I'll make a note of that.
I think it's helpful to be able to do at least, a 24-hour before the meeting to let everybody, I know that's our target for when we make sure that the agenda is done. We should make sure that contributing members are getting that same information with that lead time, so they have a chance to be able to review it, I think.
I think that's a good idea. And I can do it because it's not a problem. It was certainly done. I'll make a note to do that. Okay, now we've got the meeting minutes from September 25th. So that was 2 weeks ago. They were sent, I tried to get them right out. So they were sent also on the 25th. And at this point, if you need to read them or reread them, let me know. I can call them up. But if not, then I would like a motion to approve the September 25th meeting minutes.
Denise, I had one question on them,
Sure.
and that was under the terms and conditions document review. It mentions the steering committee agreed that the document was ready for customer signature. Is the click-through considered a customer signature?
Customer acceptance, yeah, that's a good point. It's not really a signature. How would you, Michael?
It somewhat is a signature. I mean, it actually takes place functionally in the place where that user has received an email exclusive link to their email address that when they link on, they're creating their own password for. So that at the time that they're creating their own password from the one-time link that was sent to their email address, there's an association of that individual to the account, and the validation of them checking the box for terms and conditions is by, I don't remember what the year or the law name is, but it's the electronic signature authorization that enables that click-through signature of the terms and conditions as a signature.
Okay, got it.
It's why we made them click the button. I mean, the structure that we put in place, we could have had it so that the button comes up already clicked, but it's not. That they have to take an action to be able to select the button and have the ability to be able to review the documents, which now they do.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
And because it has been 2 weeks, and I'm looking at the meeting minutes from 2 weeks ago, that was the first point. The second point was the working group framework, and it stated that with input from John Greaves to change the outputs to match the goals, we agreed to review at the next steering committee, which is this one, and that Linda clarified that the working group leads will validate the goals as these working groups are stood up. And finally, we agreed that the contributing member class CIE, we said we agreed to table that at this time. And then finally, it was the accredited investor agreement that is on the agenda for today. So can I have a motion to approve the September 25th meeting minutes?
Yes.
John, second?
Second.
Jeff, thank you. Okay, so first on our agenda is feedback from the Texas Blockchain Council meeting. And Michael, I will let you take that away.
Well, thank you. So Texas is a long way away from Georgia, for anybody who didn't know. And when you're doing it in an airplane, it looks like a long way away, but when you're driving it, you really get to experience it. So I did make the trip on Monday last week. I left at about 6:15 in the morning and got there early to be able to meet with Karen Kilroy, and Lee Brasher came in from Texas Blockchain Council, and we had our meeting on Wednesday morning starting at about 9:30. We did have a little bit of confusion as far as some of the communications that were sent out, because Dallas is in Central Standard Time and the invitations were being created by David Wolf, who was in Eastern Standard Time. And apparently somehow that conversion didn't happen properly with the evites and the links. So, and the meeting from Zoom. So some of them were changed appropriately. Some of them were not changed appropriately, and not everybody got a consistent experience for the invite. But thankfully, we were in a really super media room from Hedera Hashgraph, and we were able to have a local recording that was taking place, as well as the Zoom recording that was capturing the interaction of the participants that were from a distance. And we had ADFM called
Go by truck.
It was called Go By Truck, who showed up. Thank you, Lewis. Came in from Go By Truck from the panhandle side of Florida. So he made a trip in also, but their headquarters is in Texas, but they have an office that he works out of that's in, I think it's Destin. Super meeting. We have an hour and 37-minute recording of that meeting. That hour and 37-minute recording has been forwarded electronically to some 72 LinkedIn connections of mine that I connected to before the meeting and told them that we were having the meeting. There's another 16 or 18 that Jeff and Karen and Lee were all connecting with via email to try to invite them for participation in the meeting. And then follow up to that is that we're sending them the recording of the meeting. And the real high level summary of the meeting is the fact that Texas Texas Blockchain Council wants desperately to have this project up and operational in the next 90 days. They believe that Texas is a great place to do this. They literally watched Lewis as a convert in this meeting, from showing up of being a DFM to being someone who in the meeting says, I'm not speaking as a COO of my other company. I'm speaking as somebody who's on the team to do this because we need to do this. I'm all in. I'm here to help. And had lunch with me afterwards, and just a super guy and somebody that can really help with this. And the next result of this is that after the follow-up steps that Jeff and myself have taken to communicate this video out to people, is that there was a sharer of that video to another entity that didn't identify who it came from, but they're called Apex Capital Corp. And Apex Capital Corp is in Fort Worth, Texas. And they have been doing freight factoring and different products and services for the freight industry for 25 years. The owner is very renowned as being a very fair businessman and somebody that has been a leader in the industry of payments and movements of funds. And I got a call from a guy named Andrew Cohen on the brand new phone number that is hosted by Grasshopper, which is our patent number. So the new phone number for the company is 844-77-55518. And this is the first phone call that I got into that number was from Andrew Cohen. And I couldn't even express how excited this gentleman was on our call. He explained to me that was I familiar with ATPCO? And I said, no, sir, I'm sorry, I'm not. And he said, well, you will be. ATPCO.net is a organization that is related to Airline Tariff Publications Corporation. It is a for-profit business that was created to be able to collect fees from different airlines and service levels from each of them to cleanse the marketplace. The guy who had the orchestration role of that build out was Andy Cohen, the guy that was calling me on the phone. So today, ATPCO is a much bigger company than that, but ATPCO was built in 1978 as when it started with 7 airlines that were sharing this information. And it's now a much different, bigger company. And Andrew Cohen, with his relationship with Apex Capital Corp, has been developing a business case around how to build this sort of a clearinghouse. And one of his first lines to me on the phone was that there was no reason for us to have 2 of them. They'd much rather support ours than build their own. So they're in. They want to be one of the first 7. They said that the owner is currently in Colorado, will be for the balance of the week, but he has his own corporate jet, and he'll either fly me in or fly into here to Atlanta to be able to have a discussion next week. And he's connected with David and had conversations with David about the slide deck and shared the slide deck with him. And they're just really excited. I've had 4 emails back and forth with them since Monday. So exciting stuff, or excuse me, since Wednesday. Exciting stuff of being able to share this and get somebody to be able to call back with that sort of enthusiasm for wanting to participate. And overall, it was a success of being able to go to Dallas and meet with Lee Bratcher and Karen and Lewis in the meeting, and have the DFM data team really do the entire presentation remotely, with me in the room to kind of guide things there. It was a very effective way for being able to present. And in our post-meeting briefing, we frankly discussed the same, that it might be an approach that works really well for us, that they can be the support team that's there to be able to do things with me being there for DFM data, at least for now, for the first couple. But there's interest in being able to make it so that the messaging from DFM Data Corp does not include any voice of Michael Darden's in it. But for this first ecosystem of Texas Blockchain Council, being there, I think, was helpful to be able to facilitate the desire for adoption from Lee and Karen, and we've kind of pushed hard on the connection now to each of the 24 companies that are in Dallas or in Texas that are doing digital freight matching, with numerous ways to be able to reach out for them. So excited for how it worked out. Glad we got some feedback and companies that are interested to sign up from it, and happy to answer any questions that you might have about the event that I didn't share.
I think that's it. To put it mildly, exciting, Michael, no question. And a good outcome. I actually am very familiar with HPCO because I was on the IATA technical committee for many years, and they were often shown them. And there's about 4 or 5 associations within the aircraft sector that have gone about the business in that way. Not surprised at the outreach. Not surprised they don't want to build another one when there's one already available. I think your next meeting with them is going to be incredibly interesting. But now I'm going to get typically brutal, but in a benign fashion, you understand. And as much as I like exciting news, I like it more when the check's in the bank.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to hear what kind of check you want from them, but I'm going to say what kind of check I would ask for as a person who knows the ATPCO model and the way that other such engines have what we call commonalized and tariffs and such matters. And I suspect they have some other things they want to latch on to DFMDC from that side of it, from equalization models for revenue, etc. So if John Greaves was going to see Cohen and Co., or they were going to see me, it would be real simple. I want $1 million, and you'll be able to sit at the same table as Michael Darden. 150 gets you the same table as John Greaves. That's my pitch, Michael. I'm done.
So I want to just share one fact that I didn't mention with this, which is the fact that this Apex Capital Group, they purchased a company called Nextload, which is a load board company that they provide to their members for free. So they're a huge infringer of what it is that we're doing, and they would want to have a good relationship here, and I think that's actually in the very near future. So
I'm actually aware of Apex, Michael, and if you look at their website and their portfolio, you would see they have a penchant for buying into or taking up total ownership of things that look cool. They also have a history of finding their fingers scorched. their due diligence on early starts has often been a bulldozer diligence, meaning I don't care whether this is pucker, the market looks great, the revenue model looks fabulous, we'll deal with the shit when it comes. So they're somewhat known for that. They're the same as what the hell is Chris?
A Texas fail fast?
Yes.
It's good to know that there is such a thing in Texas.
There is another company in New York that I'm familiar with. I just can't remember Chris's company name at the moment. But they, you know, I've been thinking for some time that you should talk to Chris but you should talk to Chris after you've got 4 members. They invest in companies just starting, but which have shown a promising start, kind of thing.
Yes, sir. I
Another
get
story
it.
for another day. Bye-bye.
There's a whole nother group of folks that are available once you've got 5 to 7 to 10 customers, and the number we've been bouncing around is 7. This morning, I've taken a list that I've been working with of which are the mid-sized companies that would fit in one pool that are in Texas, which are the ones that are the larger pool, and I went through them this morning with a different lens on the same list, where I went back and recalled which ones of them said, yes, we want to play as soon as there is an equilibrium of participants. And I have 9 of them right now. There's 9 companies that have said that as soon as there's enough participants to do this, we're in. So
Yeah, no,
we're happy because the platform is here, and we've got the first one. If the first one with Nextload signs up, the second one, Go By Truck with Lewis, the one that was there behind it. The third one is Navigator TMS, that is also in Texas, that I met with while I was there. And the 3 of them get us Schneider and Dex, and that's 5. And that brings ARC and Total Quality Logistics and many others that follow right behind them. So it's good.
You want Werner.
I want Werner at the same time as I bring in Schneider.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned them.
Yep.
They're sisters in freight, as it were, albeit competitors, but they carve up particular markets between themselves largely with over 50% share.
So I'm unaware of any of those dealings between the 2 of them, and I think for the purposes of the call that we're discussing of DFM data, I think they both have similar size and geographical service areas that they provide with similar equipment, and they both provide brokerage services. So I think having both of them in the marketplace would assist the marketplace in being able to round out demand and capacity balancing. So like I said, thought it was a super move there in Texas, and actually had a second follow-on to that didn't make the agenda here, but I'll just mention it briefly. It did just happen yesterday, which is the fact that Denise had arranged for a meeting with Patrick Duffy from Beta. And I had called Patrick because I was planning on going to Chattanooga on Wednesday and was going to see if I could meet him for lunch. And he told me that he's staying down in Jacksonville, Florida. So since the pandemic has come on, so he really hasn't been in Chattanooga. And I didn't get to meet with him for lunch, but Denise had scheduled a meeting with him because we wanted to talk about how many Beta members were involved in digital freight matching. And does it make sense for, just like we're looking for a structure of a state as a geographical boundary, to be able to look at a existing organization like Beta that has existing sets of rules for its members to play in, where there is enough of them to be able to be their own ecosystem. And Patrick shared with me that, and everybody else that was on the call, that there is a new working group that Beta is launching that is about implementation, project implementation. And he sees great overlap between the DFM initiative, and has actually spoken to Lee Bratcher from the Texas Blockchain Council. And Patrick mentioned the project to Lee, which was I mean, from our perspective, it couldn't play much better than that. You know, Patrick referencing it to Lee made Lee realize the largeness of scale of the reach of people that we've been in touch with. And, you know, Patrick was communicating that it was in similar alignment to the things that BETA is working on, and that he was supportive of the initiatives that we were working on. So in the Thursday meeting that we had with him, he again indicated that you know, he thinks there's validity in the opportunity for the organizations to be able to look to collaborate and to find a way to work with BETA members that would, sorry, to be able to work together and you know, look at a roadmap of where the standards coming out of BETA are, and those companies that are adopting them and connected to them already are you know, incorporated in the design of how they can come on board as a DFM.
Yeah, just to add to that specifically, he mentioned BNSF, which is rail, and is Triumph. Is it Triumph Pay?
Triumph Pay, correct.
Yeah, it's Triumph Pay, but what's interesting is that Triumph Pay is very similar to this Apex. So I mentioned Triumph Pay in the example that I used during the presentation, you know, that we could facilitate, you know, using somebody like a Triumph Pay to have DFMs in Texas work with each other. And I was just using them as an example, but these guys came together the next day with the, you know, the basically saying that we can do that too. And if you look at their profile, they got 25 years of doing this. I mean, Triumph is on the board of BETA, and that there's participation from Triumph with BETA, you know, but I would suspect that with the industry associations that have been mentioned already, you know, by Mr. Cohen, that they're going to bring their own connections as well.
And John, you're going to be, I'm sure, familiar with what was the ITC. It's been sort of revamped. The charter has been approved by the BITA DFTC. It's the Implementation Technical Committee. So the call for participants hasn't gone out, but it should go out in the next week or so because the charter has been approved. So the purpose of that group is to actually have different firms, right, working together using their own solution, and then the BITA standards, which is right now the location, but two others are getting pretty close to being released. And then have an opportunity to share that. You've been to the symposiums, right? Share the, you know, success stories, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the purpose of the ITC. And Patrick thought that the DFM DC solution, working with some BITA members who are already in this space, would be just sort of like a natural for this group. Any thoughts or feedback on that?
I agree.
Linda, any comments?
No, it definitely sounds like a natural fit.
Yep.
I'm just curious if they come in, and if you have members of BETA that are participating with solutions that they have created, it's their technology, and DFM is showcasing what it's created in its technology to solve for the same problem. DFM is open to utilizing the best technology, correct?
Yeah, in this particular instance, the DFMDC solution would be cleansing the data and, you know, obviously the DFMs, but also would be using, you know, some of the BITA standards. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering. Yeah, and I was just wondering if another member came in with a solution that they had created to solve for the same problem. Obviously, Michael holds the patent that covers that solution area, but is DFM open to reviewing other technology solutions that might provide more efficiency, streamlining, you know, the cleansing of the data in a way that is a value add to the community? Is that something that we're open to going into a collaboration like this?
That's a good question. Of course, there's a lot of TMSs that are part of BITA, right? quite.
Mhm.
I don't know what their member count is. They used to have it listed on their website. They do not anymore. I don't know that there is any, and there could be, but I don't know if there is an overlap with what DFMDC that's just doing data cleansing. You know, the typical TMS or the adjunct value adds. You know, there might be another one at BITA. I guess we'll find out. But I haven't seen that particular functionality. I don't know if John has.
I just know that the recent article that went out to the entire industry, highlights the problem and the need for a solution. And people always love to solution.
That's true. Yeah, that is a good point. If there isn't, there might be. So even better to get out in front of it, right?
Yep, no, absolutely. And having a technology stack that may contribute improvements never hurts, especially when you're the one holding the patent for the solution itself.
Yeah, and we haven't discussed intermodal much, right? We've done trucking, but we haven't discussed the other, railroad or the other types of modes, and it's certainly worth an
It's digital freight matching. Yep.
Actually, railroads are the largest generators of call for capacity and tend to flood a market to the degree of confusion. How do I know this? Because I know a lot of the railroad intermodal people for reasons which don't impact this discussion, but I'm familiar, for instance, with the intermodal terminal in Savannah, Port of Seattle, ports of New York, New Jersey, the railroad yards in Cisco, in Chicago, and Sandwich in Illinois, and the BNSF interchange facility at El Paso and Omaha, and UP's facilities in Elgin, and so it goes on. Why am I going on is because you're absolutely right. Intermodal, where Skellies are the trailers of choice, of course, for carrying seagoing ISO containers, is an incredibly dynamic world, and the most of the freight is day freight, because you unload the train or the ocean-going vessel in rapid succession, so therefore demanding 400, 500, 600 units in a space of a few hours, and some of them don't show, some of them don't go, but they're mostly day trailers. They're mostly hauling maybe a couple of 100 miles out of wherever they've landed. Otherwise,
yeah. So I refer to this area as drayage.
Yes,
and not so much intermodal.
Yeah, that's actually a very good statement, Michael. But unfortunately, in Europe, that means carrying beer.
Really?
All beer in Europe is carried on drays, and the phrase is drayage, and a person who works in the beer trade doing that is a drayman.
So it's funny because it's the same thing in the port yard. That is a drayman. The guy who works in the yard is a drayman.
There you go. You see, once again, we find the abuse of the English language prevalent in the colonies.
Indeed.
Right? You take words like football and apply it to an entirely different game, the standard game, right? I don't know what we're going to have to do about this. You take the phrase queen and apply it to people with a form of sexual diversity, and I mean it's just ongoing. I mean, and I'm done.
I can't take any credit or blame for that, sir.
Guilty as
no. I love the idea, but I also, of course, know that it is a huge dimension all of its own. And having said that, I'll shut up again. Thank you.
Well, I think it's probably time to move to the next agenda item then, but Michael, thank you very, very much for that. So I think we're all left that meeting fairly pumped, and, a lot of opportunities are starting to come the way, which was in fact the intent.
It is, yeah. Well, and just a huge, a vote of appreciation for the work that was done by everybody who is on the DFM Data Corp team. You know, we don't go into these things without doing pretty substantial rehearsal. You know, I mean, we have working groups to be able to go through them for days before the event takes place to really try to be able to refine what our delivery is and who's going to do what in what part of it. So preparation helps us a lot. It's part of the discipline that this organization is really. I'm glad to see that discipline is coming naturally with the participants.
Well, thank you for that. Thanks. So guys, just a reminder of the document package. Today is October 9th, so we are going to look at certainly the investment offering letter in a minute. It is not ready for prime time. It is in better shape, so we're just going to share with you where it is. And then I'd also like to talk about the working group frameworks. We're going to do this next.
Oh, let's be more positive than that. Let's do this. Denise, the one that is, go back to that for 1 second,
Sure.
Please. So the one that is the second one on the list, the accredited investor questionnaire paperwork, you guys already read all that. You went through that last week. I mean, 2 weeks ago. We looked at that and we were like, yeah, okay, but this isn't what we need. What we need is the letter. But the other one is all pretty standard package stuff. I mean, this is one that I think is really ready for review for today and potentially, you know, vote for today. This was standard document that we all put comments on for what it was. The other one, I am disappointed with the fact that the result of the letter that we got back today has some good edits in the first 3 paragraphs, but doesn't have anything further in the meat of the document. But it's a good start, and I really like the direction that it's going. So I do want to spend some time talking about that as well. But I think the accredited investor agreement, AKA questionnaire, we can pull them back up and look at them just for making sure that everybody's familiar with them. But I think they were reviewed last time pretty effectively.
Yeah. Let me let Linda back in. Let me pull that one up. So this is what we reviewed on the 25th. So this is the questionnaire.
Right. This is just boilerplate template text of a couple of pages of questionnaires that we had a few questions on that we did ask. And general partner is a legal term, right?
Yes. Essentially CEO. Yep. So that is correct as stated. And you're right. The rest of this is very boilerplate.
I thought it was all boilerplate. And if we wanted to be able to have an action to be able today to finish this and have this checked off, then this is a document that I believe is there. The other one was, you know, we were putting them both in the same bucket because they were almost tied together before, but they're sort of not anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Michael. That's all right. Good catch.
Yeah, and the new SEC rules are applied in this document because I know boilerplate has changed recently in the definition of an accredited investor.
So the definition of the accredited investor documentation piece has changed and is incorporated. I mean, we can certainly ask that question directly to Jonathan to make sure that it's specified that way, but my understanding, and I mean, we went through this in the first part with Chris because I actually pulled up the newer version of them, and then Larkin sent me over what he had as a definition of the current version, and I sent him the updated ones, and so I'm pretty sure we're working with the most current pieces because they've certainly been in the circulation.
I'll double check. It's an easy enough question though to ask John.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once they did the announcement, wasn't implementation supposed to be like 60 days later? I thought I read that in the announcement, that it wasn't an immediate implementation.
Yeah, I don't remember the date range on it of when it happened. We certainly go back and go look at it. I mean, the communication with Chris was now more than 60 days ago. right? And at that point, it had already been in place. I don't think it had, I don't know if it had started or not.
I'm certainly happy to pick that up with John Garcia. So he's the Chris replacement at Sparks Legal. But again, this is the boilerplate. Michael, are you comfortable then with us striking a vote then on this?
Well, I mean, it sounds like there's other questions to be answered on it. I thought last time we had covered what the points were on here that were of concern, but if we haven't, then we can certainly continue the discussion on it until we get it ready. There's nobody that's barking for this right now, but this company that I spoke to the other day, I would suggest that they're going to be barking for it in the near future.
So how about if we do this? If I go back to John Gracia, and if this is indeed using the most recent language from the SEC, is the steering committee comfortable with vote? If that answer is yes, is the steering committee comfortable with voting to approve this document today?
I am.
I am.
August 26th was the date that the change was announced. So I'm pretty confident that the new definition was taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think so. This is September 20. I will ask though, just to be certain. And if it is, then I will move to a vote. Do we have a motion to approve this accredited investor questionnaire?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? A second? That would be from John or from Linda. And if you can't, that's fine too.
Yeah, so if there's outstanding questions, Denise, we should raise the questions and get the finalized document back to be able to bring to the vote as amended.
I heard everyone was comfortable with going to a vote. So hearing that no one was uncomfortable with going to a vote, then the question to John and Linda.
I think did we lose Linda?
Yeah, you lost Linda. She said, can you ask Denise to let me back in? Maybe that's why you didn't hear a second.
Okay. Okay, Linda, don't see her audio yet. I'll give her a minute. I think she's driving. Linda, let us know when you're on. Oh, there you go. Okay, Linda, are you comfortable with seconding the motion to approve this accredited investor questionnaire?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just dialed back in. So
That's no worries.
yeah, no, it's something that I think if it's standardized to the most recent rules, is fine. There's nothing about it that I'm opposed to.
I did take an action to check though with legal to make sure that it is standardized to the most recent. So, okay, that's excellent. Thanks, guys. I will stop sharing, and I'm going to share the actual letter because I think this is interesting. We're not going to vote on this, and I'm not even. I don't think I'll send it out either, Michael, unless you feel differently. But I'd really rather let John, complete the purposes, the rest of it that we asked him to do.
You did?
No, not you, John. The other John, the attorney.
Sorry, John Garcia.
Yes.
So to be quite frank with you, I don't know if it's a requirement of the steering committee to be able to approve this document.
I was thinking the same thing, frankly. I'm
This looks like a business document to me. That
Thank
is
you.
the business
Yes,
that is
this is-
going along with what the steering committee has already agreed to, and the shares that have already been allocated. And
Yeah, I'm right with you, Michael. Whilst I appreciate that it has been aired, but approval,
Okay.
you want to design an invoice that has the VAT column to the right or the left. That's a business decision. Have a nice day.
yeah, I think this communication to our customers is just purely a part of the business operations of the company that it does, and the fact that there is a steering committee and a governance for them to be a part of is an element of what this is, but it's their
I think
participation.
the only
Sorry.
thing one would say, obviously, is anything that the company is publishing or broadcasting must be reviewed from governance point of view only for the purposes of ensuring it does not in any way infringe regulatory or legal compliance. So, for instance, a very good point made on a call I was on earlier today along with Denise, the GDPR declarations, right? You know, remind people when they're sending out something like this, it's a questionnaire that will require a response. That means they're going to complete data. That means you have to publish a GDPR paragraph in it somewhere.
Or it has to be part of your policy.
No, you've got to publish
Your
it because
privacy
you're
policy.
requesting. Yeah, no, you're requesting it because you're asking for a response in the disclosure of data. So GDPR has to be implicit in the document.
But we're not hang on a second, because we're not asking for any of that here.
We
No,
aren't.
we're not asking for any disclosure of anything. All we're asking for here is a meeting. We are sending.
Done. Thank you. Goodbye. That's it.
Yeah, it's a tricky edge, and I want you that's why we wanted to air this in front of the committee, because it makes sense for you guys to be aware of what's taking place with it, because the communication, the first page of it is quite compelling.
Yes.
I mean, you are infringing. We believe that you are infringing on this, but that is not the subject of this letter.
Yeah. All right. Be very careful with this. Remember, some of the people you're writing to have got lawyers at $1 million an hour.
Yes, sir. And what we're completely aware of is the fact that in order to be able to send a cease and desist to somebody, you have to cite specific claims of things that they are infringing on. We are not doing that.
No,
we are intentionally not making any specific notations to what they're doing, because it can't be construed as being a notice of cease and desist, which is what can trigger an action from them to us.
That's correct. I have been at the sharp end of that now with one particular issue. I think I'm in year 7, and they're doing a great job, because the people who infringed and received the cease and desist have lawyers, and their lawyers' speciality is they don't care. They just keep writing massive tomes of paperwork in response to and citing this, that, and the other. And in the meantime, my partner's bill keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yep, I understand. And it's the reason why we don't want to be able to have to flex the muscle. We really want everybody to be able to come on and play nice and not have to be able to play litigious games.
Right. Now, sadly, today I have to leave you because I have a consensus business prep session that starts in 4 minutes. But I mean, I'm still very comfortable with the way we're doing things and the way we're going. I wish I could spend more time today, but this has popped up in the last hour that I'm now required on the National Health Service preview discussion. So I better turn up, because none of them even know the slightest thing about the National Health Service of the United Kingdom, which I guess is why I was invited. It's been fun. Thank you, Denise.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Fabulous week for Denise and I this week has been, I believe.
Yes, it has. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Take care, John.
Have a good weekend.
So on this particular letter, Linda, and this is pertinent to you. Michael, I don't know if you've had a chance to vet this with Linda as far as where this letter is coming from in our conversation previously.
Some.
Okay.
I haven't seen the edited version.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Linda,
this version just came over about an hour and maybe an hour and 20 minutes ago.
yeah. I'll send
So
it
I
out.
read it right before the call, but we'll send a copy over to you. He didn't get as far as we wanted him to.
No.
He edited stuff
Where
on.
else are you wanting him to take it?
There are edits that we discussed last time that he hasn't gotten to yet. His edits, we took off the red lines of where he has been on this, but it is redlined of what edits he's done, and he's really just gone and added the notes from our last meeting in the first 3 paragraphs at the top. But he hasn't gone in and added notes any of our commentary from the last meeting to the rest of the document.
Okay.
That was my read on it.
Yeah. What I'll do, Linda, is when I send the meeting minutes, I'll send.
He did say that he would be available after 2 o'clock today to be able to work on it again. But that he was doing a closing or something. So he realized that he hasn't completed his task. So we should have an update with further work on it today.
Okay. Perfect.
Sorry, Denise, go ahead. I just wanted to make that clear that.
That's a good point. No, it's an excellent point. You're right. I'm going to stop sharing this. And Linda, I know you're driving, correct?
Unfortunately, I'm just writing. I'm not driving, but yeah, that's what popped me out of reach briefly a couple of times. So.
Okay, because what was the agenda next was to go over the working group framework based on the feedback that I had received 2 weeks ago. I wanted to review this with the team, and it might be difficult for you to do this if you're not like sitting at it. So alternatively, I could just send you this, what I always do at the meeting minutes anyway, but do this deck so you can actually look at the charters. It's for, specifically it's 8 through 12, and it's for each working group.
I can actually read it on my screen. So
Okay.
yeah, that's fine. I'm pulling it up as needed during initial phase, monthly after lunch. What is the additional need for review on this? You synchronize the goals of the outputs?
I did. Yeah.
That's been done? Okay.
Yeah, well, what I had done before was, what we had done before was review the IT and the IT specifically, the working group, and I just went back to the others and just made certain that the goals and the inputs and outputs were more synced. It wasn't, a huge change, to be honest with you, but I just sort of ticked and tied it together. So we can either go through it now, or it might be more helpful, if you'd like, is to review, because we don't need these tomorrow, right? We don't have these working groups yet.
Yeah.
You can stand up.
Yeah, let's do it another time. I think it was because these aren't. I mean, the existence and function of them has been approved, and we know they're going to be modified going forward as we bring in the teams that are actually part of the working groups. So I feel very comfortable just making this part of an in-house review to make sure we're comfortable with the starting point that the working groups will have coming on board.
Okay.
Denise, I do have one change in the operations working group. It'll be very easy. And that way Linda will have the latest and greatest.
All right. Go for it, Jeff.
So I think you added operations dashboard metrics, but we already have an operations scorecard. So we should take out one of the other of those. I think those are a duplication.
Actually, those were meant to be 2 different things. The intent was that the dashboard metrics is going to be a condensed version that shows up on the website. It's just is the thinking, right? And the operation scorecard was going to be something that was a lot more robust and had a lot more metrics on it. But you don't need all that, nor would it fit in the real estate on a, you know, on a web, right?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the dashboard is the website.
The dashboard is, you know, the dials that we had talked about putting the. On
No, I'm just saying that's the one you're thinking is the web on
Yes.
the website. Okay. Got
Yes.
it.
Yeah. I actually put that on operations and not on any of the others because we don't need to have, you know, a bunch of dials for everything. It was just, you know, 2 or 3 dials that
Sure.
were, yeah. So that is actually on
Transactions, purgings,
exactly.
eventually co-brokering. Got it.
Exactly. Yep.
And that should be a subset of the overall operations scorecard.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, this is the only one that's already been implemented, correct?
It is. It is. And that was sort of to Linda's point. This is, we're trying to provide some structure to the groups, but not make it so prescriptive that the folks that when they are populated can't say, yeah, we really sort of need to do this or that.
Got it.
Okay. So yeah, I'll send these around with the minutes. And again, yeah, we'll use these as starting point. I'll ask for everyone to look at them. And then by next week, everyone will have had a chance to review those. And finally, we have new business, which is the DFM onboarding demonstration.
So for this, I was actually gonna have a transaction with either John Greaves or with Linda. And Linda, I actually did this with her the other evening, and John Greaves is no longer with us. So Linda, do you want to just talk for a moment about your onboarding experience?
Sure. I was very happy that I had someone to walk me through it. I know there's probably some aspects of it that can be, that would be more streamlined for the DFM's onboarding than kind of an admin back panel on board. So I'm not sure that my experience would be indicative of what a DFM would experience in their onboarding, but a really robust back end once you're there. And the security is obviously built into the fabric of the platform. So that was nice to see. Yeah.
Yep. So part of Linda's access is actually set up as a steering committee member. So is Jeff's, and that's actually what I was going to demonstrate today was the sending of the communication to that steering committee member, which in this case John would be a steering committee that had visibility into each of the working groups for each module, but he really wouldn't have any of the operational login capabilities that Jeff or Linda have. So being able to have that flexibility of configuring the user type to be able to serve in the capacity that they're set up as, John is a unique case, and the additional contributing members that get added to the governance of this will also be unique cases. And we have this currently constructed in a way that allows us to be able to add those entities when appropriate, without new coding.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's really well done in that regard and well thought through.
Well, thanks.
All of the possibilities that you got coded in, it's impressive.
Having a system like this for governance, I was talking to someone, it's been about 4 weeks ago now. He's the guy that runs he's out of Europe, out of Netherlands, runs one of the shipping consortiums. And I said, yeah, we've got this governance system that we're working on. And his comment was, can we buy it? Is it something we can purchase off the shelf?
No, absolutely.
He's like, because we don't need it.
This is the secondary product for DFM, absolutely, to white label into governance situations in consortia globally. It is, yeah, absolutely. I've had similar conversations, Steve, so it's fun to hear that you have as well.
I'm about 10 to 14 days from now, we will have a migration to production. And at the moment that we migrate to production, there's an opportunity to make a copy that doesn't include a database.
That's when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So then I can just replace it with a blank database and the whole system will work with a new database that's plugged in right behind it. So it's a cool modular design that way. So I'm excited for the opportunity of finishing it that way. It's right now the focus is on how to be able to make it so that it's our tool, though, not that it's one that we're selling to somebody else, because we really need it to be able to support the ingestion of the feedback that we're really about to walk into.
Well, it's because you have that governance in mind that you have been able to conceptualize the infrastructure necessary for this type of tool, which
Yep.
is what makes it so beautiful.
Yep, thanks, appreciate it.
To have available for other similar governance needs.
Yeah, I think it's there, and the fact that we've made it as configurable and flexible and adjustable as it is really makes it so that it's viable for those sort of opportunities. In our discussion with Patrick the other day, he actually indicated that they had Patrick with Beta. He indicated that they had a call or a need for the same sort of technical solution to be able to manage the governance as well, as it was really kind of problematic to be able to do, and that they were on a search for other software to be able to do it, but they had found one, and that they hadn't implemented it, or kind of have found one, or found a couple that they thought might be able to do it, but I don't think they had gotten to the point of being able to actually do it and have it work yet. It didn't sound like it.
I'm familiar with that, and it is it does some of the things that this does, but it's more about standards development and less about governance. It's more about collaboration, and there is a element of it that is, vote sharing and feature, enhancement ideas, and you get tokens and that sort of thing. But it doesn't do nearly as much as, unless it's changed. It's been a while since I've seen it, and that's possible. But it doesn't do the governance that this one does.
Actually, Denise, if you have a minute, if you can pull over to the application itself. When Deepak and I talked today, we didn't go through specifically everything that had changed in the ideas and the issues, but I gave them a naming convention for each of the creation of issues, or creation of ideas, and ideas up through issues.
Okay, let me pull that up.
So I don't know if they've changed the displays for all of that yet, but
okay.
Try your governance tab that you had previous ideas in and see if they've got any fields that are added for
Okay, that's interesting. Because
I don't see any voting.
Yeah, I don't see the voting here. The ideas or the voting. They might be working on it, perhaps.
Well, I think what happens is that when Deepak tests something for this, sometimes he has to go in and be a contributing member, and I think he may have turned you off of being a contributing member for this.
Okay. Yeah, because normally I would see the voting and the ideas. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think you can fix that for yourself. I think I have to fix that for you. Hold on.
I can try, but
I don't think you have access to fix that for you.
yeah, exactly. I actually did save a user earlier today to demonstrate
Yeah, I don't see voting or ideas on any of mine either.
Jeff, you got everything.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah, yeah. Voting and ideas are gone off all 5 tabs for me.
We both got bumped, Jeff.
Hey, Denise, just doing a quick Google search. It does say that the accredited investor rule is implemented or effective 60 days after it shows up in the Federal Register, and they're projecting early November.
Ah, okay.
So
So-
if it's already in the Federal Register, we can count 60 days and go from there.
Okay. No, thank you for looking that up.
So Denise, I just I made a small change to yours. See if that changes anything for you.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're broken.
Aren't we all?
Oh, my secret is out. Oh, man.
Yeah. Denise is broken.
I do such a good job hiding it. Or maybe I don't. Obviously, I don't.
They're working on it, so I'll let them know that your permissions are not right. And Jeff, yours. Let me check yours too.
Yeah. Voting and ideas are gone in all 5 modules for me.
Hang on. That one I might be able to fix.
So Linda, what I'm doing, now I know how to do it, is I'm creating new users and I keep putting them underneath the Jeff Throws to organization type. And I'm doing this because I want to see what you will see or what the DFMs will see or what a particular type of DFM will see. So it's really helpful that we have access to this and we know how to do it for us to test the user experience.
Yeah, I actually had a significant. Yeah. It's actually quite fun to kind of come up with a whole scenario that you want to be able to try. It's pretty cool.
It is.
I'm seeing both of you have access. I mean, everything you have all the connections that you're supposed to have from my perspective, from what I can see. So.
I know Jeff's not broken. I know he's not broken. There's no way Jeff is broken. Okay.
So Denise, if we have a second, I wouldn't mind just chatting about the scorecard versus the dashboard. On the dashboard for the website, is that the output of the working group or is that the output of the operations function for DFM DC?
That's a good point. I mean, I think the working group is certainly going to have a voice in the type of metrics that are on the dashboard or on the website, right? So even if, Jeff, you said, I really think the operations dashboard should look like X, Y, and Z, and the working group says, no, it really needs to be A, B, and C, I would think you would want to take that on board.
Yeah, it'd almost be like an idea. Oh, we need to add this, additional metric. Got it. We go implement it. And then I think it would exit the working group and it's just us running operations. So anyway, we can chat about that later, and that may have implications to the other four as well. That
I haven't told anybody this, but the next thing that I'm going to ask Deepak to be able to do is on each of our areas where we govern, we're the admin of an area where we control what the GUI looks like. I'm going to have the bottom half of the screen painted as what the customer sees.
Oh, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Really, really
But
helpful.
I haven't told him yet that I need him to do it, but he has to build it to display anyway, and it'd be easier for him to do if he could actually see what it does here. It would make his testing easier to do it.
So you
But
mean here then, right, Michael, where I go manage org support and I go to, in my case, or Jeff would go operations. So let's just do Jeff. So underneath here on this bottom section, Jeff would see what the DFMs would see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
That would
Basically
be
a preview of the WYSIWYG.
Yeah. Because as it is now, what I'm doing is creating a user with those specific functions and then going back in. What can they see? Logging out, going back in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks. You need to see it on the screen right below.
Yeah, that would most helpful.
Yep. And that it's one thing that we can fix once and then apply it to everywhere. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just let you know. So on the agenda for me.
Okay.
But we're still recording for our current steering committee meeting. So I don't know if is there other stuff that we have? What else was on the agenda for the last thing of this? Did we have one other thing?
That was it. Let me go back to the agenda, but I think we've covered everything, actually. Yeah, that was there any new business? Let me ask that question. Okay, so hearing none, we haven't been doing this, but I'll adjourn the meeting at, I haven't been asking for a motion to adjourn, I should say. We've been a bit more informal, but I'll adjourn the meeting at 2:19 p.m. and I will stop the recording.
Thank you, everybody, for your participation.
Yes, guys, thank you so much. Oh, one quick question. So do we want, I do believe we need a steering committee next week at 1 p.m., correct? Because I would like to look at the working group charters.
And we need to finalize on the attachments that we had to validate with the attorney that they have the most recent conditions in them.
Yeah, and then
we didn't get a vote on that, correct?
We did get a vote on the questionnaire. We did not get a vote on the letter, but I thought
But we don't need a vote on the letter.
We don't need a vote on the letter. Yeah. So
yeah, okay.
So I think actually, guys, we are now officially.
Are we all green?
We're green.
Yeah, would you mark something green, please? That's what I was before you dismissed and adjourned the meeting. I was like, we need to do some green marking here. I think there's accomplishments that have been met. We should.
So this is NA now, the offering letter, because that's part of company business, and and that's it. We're done now with the document package. That needs steering committee approval for now. Great result.
Yeah, so you can actually, there's one more spot, which is under steering committee approval. We have a space to put in 10/9/20, and then you're done.
We are done. Good reminder. Thank you, Michael, for that.
Yeah.
Well done, team.
Yep. Yay. Celebration.
Thanks, Denise.
Yeah, so thank you. Thanks to everybody.
So Linda says somehow she's muted.
She is.
She can still hear us.
I can't.
But she's dancing.
I can't unmute her on my end. That's odd. But Linda, I know you're there. For some reason, I do see you muted. I cannot unmute you. So it must be something perhaps on your phone.
Huh.
Okay. Anyway, guys, well done. Thank you so much. We are really, really rocking.
She said, no worries. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for participating in this on a Friday and doing this even after 2 weeks. We didn't even feel like we missed a beat.
No, we did not. So I'll speak to everyone very soon, but we'll have our next steering committee next week then at 1 p.m. And Michael, do you want to see if we can get John on a call this afternoon?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do so. I feel like he needs a little bit of time after what we said today. So let's look at maybe like, send him a message and see if he wants to have a 30-minute working session from 3:30 to 4,
Okay, that sounds great.
or 4 to 4:30, or 4:30 to 5, or some 30-minute slot.
Yeah. I can do 3. I've got a 4:30, but I can definitely do 3:30. Okay, I'll touch base with them and see if I can get something
Okay,
arranged.
super. Thank you very much.
Denise, I'll keep you
Thank you,
posted
thank
on
you.
the Patrick meeting
Okay, great. Thank
as soon
you.
as I hear back. Sure.
Thanks, guys. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, Linda. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.